Hello everyone, so today I'm going to do a video on breyerfest volunteering, which this is a topic that I get really asked about a lot, so I figured I'd make a video on it. And I do have the blessings of Robin, who is the manager, overseer for the volunteer program with Breyer. So she sent me some things that I should touch on, so I figured I would just put it in one video. It would be my experience slash volunteering, or how you volunteer or whatever. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So first things first, there is a very nice lady named Robin Briscoe who manages or puts together the whole volunteer thing, which props to her because I have no idea how she does it, because I would fall apart with just 10 people. I don't know how she manages to make 70 work. It's insane, but props to her. So I'm pretty sure that everyone goes through her to be selected to volunteer and stuff. So the first thing that happens, which I'm going to talk about the process first, and then I will talk about my experience. So basically around January-ish, before the tickets start coming up, usually around the time that the special runs are released on the website, on the Breyer website, there will be a little link at the bottom, and it'll say breyerfest volunteer, and then on that page it will have the link to the application. So a few things that you should know before going into look at the application is, in order to qualify, the basic qualifications to be a volunteer at breyerfest is that you've had to have attended once before. So that is definitely, it's a given anyways. I think that you should know your way around the park before you volunteer, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, so you have to have gone to breyerfest before in order to volunteer. And also you have to be 18 or older. So I know that sucks because a lot of people are younger than that and want to volunteer, but it's like a liability issue. So you have to be over 18, but I do see a lot of people who have their wives or husbands or mothers and fathers or sisters, brothers, whoever, volunteer for them so that they can get the model. So as you probably know, at the end of breyerfest, that Sunday, you get the volunteer model, which is handed out to all the volunteers, the judges, and all of that stuff. And of course it's free because it's a compensation for your time volunteering. Also, you should note that only one person per family can be selected to volunteer, but more than one person from your family can apply. So only one person out of your family or your group that's going will get picked, so keep that in mind too. There's also a mandatory meeting Thursday night at the Clarion. I think usually it starts at 7, I think. I'm not sure if they changed it or not, but and of course you have to do the minimum of 8 hours or more if you want to, but usually the limit is 8 hours of volunteer time, so you have to have 8 hours. You have to be there from Thursday through Sunday. Of course you have to carry out all the things that they ask you to do, because it's not just small volunteer stuff. There's things that you got to keep up with too, and you have to help people, and you have to really pay attention to what you're doing, because at the end of the day you are representing not only Robin but Breyer as well, and yourself of course, and you don't want to be sucky. So it's really important that you have a good basic knowledge about what goes on in the park and stuff, and that you're able to be a positive in that area. So I do know that the volunteers for shows, workshops, and seminars are not selected by Robin, but I think everyone else is. So I believe that goes to one of the managers at Breyer, and they select the show, workshop, and seminar volunteers. So that's separate. Now you apply for everything the same way, which is on the volunteer application that I'm going to go through. You don't have to contact Robin directly for really any reason unless you have some sort of question, but usually Breyer can handle that before everyone gets picked and gets schedules and stuff. So this is that. So I'm going to go over the application on the website, and I'm using the application from this past year, 2018. I volunteered this past year, which was 2018, and then I think 2016. So yeah, so it's like this big document for volunteering, and you have to, meet all of the rules, and obviously, you have to be 18 or older. There's no group entries, and usually the time that you're able to put your application is I think from January to March, I think. And if you don't get it in before March, I don't think it's even put in the pile to be looked at. So just keep that in mind. All the applications can be emailed, faxed, or mailed, like physically mailed, to the address given, but it's just easier to do it through email, just because, just faster that way. The whole month of March is used for them to select the volunteers. Please just kind of understand, don't be impatient about getting picked, because that's a lot of applications that they have to go through, and it's a lot of schedule management, and it's a lot of, really small management details that they have to go through. So you're not going to get an answer before March. You have to work a minimum of 8 hours, as I stated earlier, over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That does not include the meeting Thursday night or the model handout on Sunday afternoon. Keep in mind too that the weather is brutal 99% of the time. It is really hot, and although that everyone does their best to keep cool, and of course, they don't want anyone to get too hot or whatever, you have to know that you have to complete that volunteer shift. So I would not recommend volunteering if you can't handle the heat like that, or you can't handle the, the stress of that. I will tell you, this was my 9th year at breyerfest, and it's every time I'm not prepared for the heat, and I try to prepare myself all the time, and it doesn't work. It's so hot. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about volunteering, because it is 8 hours in the sun over the weekend. Of course, this probably goes without saying, but just in case you need to know, you cannot participate in anything else that requires you to be somewhere else in the park while you're volunteering. Now, Robin does a really good job of trying to fit things into where you can still get to where you want to be and do the things that you want to do, but volunteer also. But you have to understand that a lot of times there's just no way to get past that. So if you're doing a show, or your special run tickets or anything, you can't leave your volunteer shift to go do that. That's not going to work, because there's no one else to, because there's a very small pool of people selected, there's not a backup in case someone can't do something, so it just puts stress on the other people that are also there at that time. So just keep that in mind and don't really book anything else. Now again, Robin does do a really, really good job of trying to make sure that everyone's able to do what they want, but of course, that with that type of management, it can't be confirmed. So if there's something that you really, really want to do, I just wouldn't volunteer. And I know the years that I've volunteered, I don't do anything else other than volunteering, and it's just tiring. It's a lot of work. You don't even have to be doing anything, just the sun, it's just exhausting. But it is a lot of fun too, and I really enjoy it. So I think that kind of covers that portion of things. So when the tickets and stuff become available in January, you can also check out the volunteer application for this coming year. So for the rest of your application, it just has the basic, where do you live, what's your number, your email, and different stuff like that. Then it has the different departments that you can work in, which there's quite a few, and you should, really take the chance to familiarize yourself with all of them and pick the one or any of them that works for you. Because I know there's a bunch of people who are just willing to do anything. For me personally, I'm not that good at some things, so I try to stay away from things that I can't do, or I feel like I can't do, just because there's always someone else who may be perfect for that position. So just apply for the things that that you can do and that will be fun too, because at the end of the day, this is a volunteer thing. You're not getting paid for this, so don't take it as oh, I'm gonna do everything so I get selected. It doesn't work that way, and the more things you put down, it doesn't mean that you're more likely to get selected. I don't know what they base things off to select people for, but I just know that's it. And I know that Robin does kind of a half and half thing. She tries to have half of the volunteers be previous volunteers, and the other half be new people that haven't volunteered before. So the rest of the application is going to ask you a bunch of questions like, have you been to Breyerfest, in which you have to have been to Breyerfest before in order to volunteer. It's mandatory, the meeting on Friday and Sunday, or not Friday, Thursday and Sunday, so you need to be able to get there on time to go to that meeting, because that meeting is the most important thing, because not only are you learning everything, getting to know the other people around you, but there's also a lot of information that you get physically. You get it in a packet, and I'll go over that in a minute. So of course the big question here is, are you planning to participate in anything else, workshop, shows, anything like that? And that right there is where you're going to put, like, if you sign up for your workshop and it's like from 1 to 2, put that down and say that, hey, I have a workshop from 1 to 2. And now again, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to have that hour free to do whatever you want to, but it does make it more likely, if you do get picked, that they're going to have that, so that they can, you know, try to make things fit together for you. Of course, they ask, you know, why do you think you would be a volunteer? You know, just like general stuff, and you know, what skills or experience, what do you do in the hobby, do you paint or do you just collect, or things like that. And of course, if there's certain things on here that require you to send supporting documents like photos or things, like if you make tack and you want to try to do a demonstration, they want you to send photos of your tack and different things like that. So go over the departments now, which is the fun thing. So the first year that I volunteered, I did, I believe, 3 different things. So I did something new every day, but that was because I put down a whole lot. And this past year, I just did 1 thing, which was a lot easier, I have to say, but it's also fun being able to learn everything. So, of course, I'm going to start first with the hobby information booth, or I think, as they have it named on the map and stuff, the hands-on hobby booth. That's kind of confusing because, you know, you have the craft tent up behind the covered arena, and that's where the kids and stuff where you get to sit down and paint. The hands-on hobby booth is where there are demonstrations and stuff, and usually you don't get to do anything, like the kids aren't going to be able to paint or anything down there. So that's a little bit confusing, so just keep that in mind too. So in the hobby information booth, you either do a demonstration or you greet people. So I think everyone does a day of like greetings. So the first day was Friday, and I did greetings. So you just walk around and be like, oh, here we're doing this, and over here we're doing this, and all those things, and answer questions that people have. And a good half of the questions are, where can I find this, or where do I go to this? So you do need to be aware of different things in the park, which if you've been to Breyerfest before, you probably know the majority of it, but that's definitely something to think about. And of course, you want to be able to have good social skills to interact with the people who come to you, because again, not only are you representing Robin, you're also representing Breyer as well as yourself. So you do need to have, you know, just like common etiquette and just basic social skills. It shouldn't be an issue, but you know, some people like me, I'm a little, I have anxiety, so, you know. But it was good because then they have the diorama contest, which I do believe that if you are working for the diorama contest, you can't enter. I'm positive that that's right, but if for some reason it's not, I don't know. So I personally have not done the diorama contest, volunteering at the diorama contest. So I think all you do there is like you sign people in and out, and then you watch over the entries. And you don't get to vote on the diorama, like you don't help pick the winners or anything, you're just there to sign people in and out and make sure that everything's taken care of. And of course the last thing that you do is give everything back to the people that brought you their dioramas. So next would be the Craft and Activity Center, which is where up on the hill, like in the sand, one of the sand arenas, it's that big tent that everyone paints at. So if you volunteered there, you'll work with children and just different people at the craft tent, and you'll just, you know, hand things out, help people paint, you know, answer questions. And again, I haven't done that one either, so I'm not too sure about that one. Next one would be the swap meet, or the gallery, and this one the application says that you're just going to be in various locations and ensure that people waiting in line are kept in like an orderly fashion. So again, I haven't done that one either, so I don't know for sure. Some of these volunteers stay at the single day handout, which I did that the first year, but I think it was called like Help Center. It was something different. So I'm not really sure what they're doing there, but I think that's just answering questions and making sure that people get to the shuttles, which was introduced this year. They're shuttling people back and forth to like different areas of the park and stuff, because if you've been, you know how big it is. The park is huge. Lastly, you had the workshop and seminar assistant, and volunteers for this, you stay in the buildings where they have the workshops and the seminars, and you help whoever's instructing or teaching, you help them out. You know, you give out things that need to be given out, you help people do this, you pick up trash and throw it away, you help clean up, you help set up. I did that a few years ago when I volunteered. It's pretty fun. You just assist the people who are showing something. Of course, whoever is teaching or instructing, if they ask you to do something, you know, you're just there to help them out and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So that's all of the areas that you can volunteer in. And I've done the hobby information booth, and then breyerfest ambassador, which was called the Help Center when I did it, and the workshop assistant thing. So I've done those three. So and of course, it was a lot of fun. Like, I totally recommend it if you're able. If you meet the qualifications, I totally recommend doing it because it's so much fun. You get to meet so many new people. It's just a fun thing to do. I don't know for anyone else, but for me, I know that besides shopping, I don't really hang out at the park as much as I would when I was younger. So a lot of this helps to, you know, for me to still be there, but not, you know, just sitting around. So that is basically the application and volunteering in a nutshell right there. If you are selected, you get an email, like I think end of March, beginning of April, and it just depends on, you know, when they get through everything. So of course, you know, there's a ton of applications. I'm not sure how many they had this year, but I think that there was 72 people who were picked, or 75, somewhere around there. So that's a lot of people to manage, and that's a lot of people to get through. And Robin also mentioned this year that although she does split the groups into half, like half of the volunteers are new people and half are people who've done it before, you can't be considered if you don't send your application in. So the year before this, which would be 2017, I didn't even send an application in, although I would have loved to have volunteered, but I didn't because I knew that she didn't pick people who had, or she didn't pick a lot of people who had volunteered before, because she wants everyone to be able to get a chance. So of course you have, after you selected, and you'll get an email saying like, hey, like you were picked, this is how it's gonna go, and she'll give you some rules and stuff just to go on, and then you will get sort of like a rough draft of the schedule for the weekend. And you will make sure that you have 8 hours there. You'll make sure that you can be there and that you can attend. So after that, they will send the schedule off to Breyer for them to finalize everything and make sure that that works and everything's together and in order so that it will go as smoothly as possible. The other thing that is I think one of the most important things, and one of the things that I'm asked so much, is about special run tickets and volunteering, because you can't leave your volunteer post to like go get a model or something. So you have to realize that by doing this as well, you're also possibly giving up a special run ticket. Now, Robin does work really, really hard to try to make sure that she can trade tickets and get you one that is going to work for you while give you a time that's not in your volunteer shift. But of course, again, everything can't always be perfect, so you have to be willing to lose that ticket if you want to volunteer. So when they do the ticket swapping, a lot of times if you have a ticket that you're swapping for another time, your ticket is going to someone else who's volunteering. So you need to bring your tickets with you when you go to the meeting on Thursday. That's really important. And of course you'll get a reminder from Robin and the team and stuff before the meeting, but just as a general thing, you should know that you need to bring your stuff with you. So the meeting is at the Clarion in one of the big like conference rooms and stuff, and everyone gets a packet and stuff, and I'm able to show this to you guys. Ooh, they give you this giant packet, and you get the program. You get your schedule. Of course, I'm not going to show that because there's people's names on here. But you get your schedule so that you have a physical copy and not just the one on your email. And you get a map. And then you get like general instructions and then your specific volunteer thing instructions. So this year was the first year they changed a bunch of things regarding not only the park and entry but volunteering as well. So now for anyone who went before this year, you know that you had a little pin thing that went on your shirt or wherever to get into the park for 3-day tickets, and they've removed that, and now you have wristbands like the single-day tickets. So that's different. And then we all got shirts this year for volunteering, and so of course you will wear those shirts when you're volunteering, and then you get to keep the shirt and stuff afterwards, so it's a really cool souvenir. Of course too, if you end up staying later, don't ever leave your shift early for whatever reason. Even if you've done 12 hours, don't leave your shift early if it's still your shift, because you still need to be there, and everyone falls onto each other. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or if you leave early because you already have your hours, that's not going to work, and you're going to mess things up for other people, and they don't have to give you the model. Just keep that in mind. This is just general like etiquette. Of course, just again, basic common sense. You can't like be volunteering and then just be standing there like on your phone like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be volunteering. Like, so don't do that. I've seen people do that before, and that kind of sucks. Of course, if you have to be there early, that first shift at like 8:30 in the morning, I think, you need to be able to plan your drive and get everything figured out to where you can be there, because the traffic is really heavy Friday morning and sometimes Saturday too, so you just have to be aware of that. This lovely packet right here, and then you get your breyerfest volunteer lanyard, and there's the wristband. I just clipped it onto my thing because I broke it. That was a really weird thing, like I couldn't get it undone. I don't know if you were supposed to like not remove it after you put it on, but I took mine off and then I couldn't get it to go back on. So because I was doing the hobby information booth, I was painting there, which was really, really fun. So I got to answer a lot of questions, and I got to meet a lot of people, and hopefully I will be able to do that next year too. And I'd love to be able to do a workshop or something along the lines of that. Generally, just being at the park, even though it is so hot, it's so much fun, and you meet all these people, and everyone's nice. Literally, I would have to say that volunteering is like my favorite thing about breyerfest. Even though I haven't done it every year, and I haven't done it a lot, it's still probably the best thing that I think that I've experienced there. And don't get me wrong, the whole thing is fun. I love all of it, and I love all the people, but there's nothing like volunteering. I just love it. Because I was demonstrating painting techniques and stuff, I have this nice little button. Hope you can see that. It says, ask me about painting model horses, because that's what my demonstration was on. So if any of you guys saw me in the hobby information booth, let me know, because I did not let anyone know I was there. I didn't post it online or anything. So hopefully if I do it next year, I'll let everyone know. That way, like, if you have questions, you can like talk to me in person about it, because a lot of times it's hard to get things across what you mean over the internet and via text and stuff. You get this nifty little name badge and state that you come from, and then the little each of the departments have these little stars so that they know where you're working at or where you're supposed to be. So because I was only in one area, I only have 1 star. So if you're doing 2 or 3 areas, you'll have 2 or 3 stars. Then you get a little card that you put in the back. This is so hard to hold like this. You shouldn't be contacting Robin for any reason unless you're volunteering. Just so you know. So that's all the stuff that was in the packet. And my experience personally was like, oh my god, it was so fun. It was so fun. Like, I know I've said that like 1,000 times, but I love it. I love it. And really, I mean, the model's just a bonus, because like I wasn't even doing it for the model. Like, I don't even like the model from this last year, but like, just It's so much fun, and it's such a big part, and you know, you're not only are you able to help people, talk to people, socialize, all these other things, it's just, I don't know, it's just awesome. I just really enjoy it. I'm so honored to be able to have been a part of that and be a part of that. So definitely, if you meet the qualifications, you should definitely apply, just because, like, literally it'll change your life and your breyerfest experience. Okay, just trust me on this one. And also, another quick thing, they send you information on different things, and a lot of that you should not post online. I know that that's like a really big thing, like, oh, I was selected, but you shouldn't post anything unless it's something that you have been specifically told that you can post. Of course, you need to be respectful about things, and one thing that we were asked not to do was to advertise that we'll have a volunteer model and that we're going to sell it before you get it. Now, of course, it's okay to sell it afterwards, after everything is over, but just, you know, common sense. Of course, there's a lot of things, too, that you may have to stay late and do more. You may have to come earlier and do more. Also, too, if you guys have any questions about this, go ahead and, you know, comment below. Like this video, share this video with everyone who's looking at it. Part of the reason that I did this, too, was because I'm someone who needs to know what I'm doing before I do it. And when I first volunteered, I looked forever on anything about anyone's experience or what goes on or what should I know if I'm going to volunteer, and I couldn't find anything other than, oh, I got picked to volunteer, yay, like that was it. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that have questions about it and everything, and I may make a part 2 if I get enough questions. So of course, if you have any questions at all surrounding not only volunteering but breyerfest as well, this was my 9th year, so I think that I have a good amount of knowledge to be able to be shared. So if you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll do my best to answer those. So yeah, so of course, all of my information's in the description, my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm most active on, oh, my email's down there too. I'm most active on Instagram. I was gone for a little while where I was working, but I'm back now. Everything's good. So feel free to connect with me there if you have any questions. Check out my other videos. I have a bunch of mainly tutorial videos and different things because I do paint.